Hello and welcome to our lecture about how to write formal texts. And today we're gonna go through how um, you use formal language in general and how to write a formal letter, and to write an article. And last of all, we will also summarize what we have said here today. Sophia, would you mind to inform them how to use formal language in general?
Of course, Theodore. Formal language is used as a way to enhance your credibility, and it proves that you're serious about your intentions. Using it can give you respect, and it gives the reader a sense of safety. The reader realizes that you can use the language correct, and that you know what you speak of. Formal language can be used in many ways, awakening respect and interest in a personal letter, or scare the recipient of a letter of complaint to give you what you want. Imagine being the employer of a successful corporation and reading these two letters. The left one is using very informal language, like heya, and I'm like 20 years old, and ends with hearts, while the right one uh, use a very formal language. Your impression of the left one contradicts the content of what he or she is trying to say. Meanwhile, the right letter is clear and confident, proving the claim of being written by a thorough and considerate person. When you are on a formal occasion, you should absolutely not use informal language. That is totally wrong. However, when you're home or with friends and family, it is it is okay to use informal language. They won't kill you. And if you are on a formal occasion and you use your formal language, you will receive the seal of approval. As I said earlier, and proven by my example with the personal letters, knowing how to use the formal language correct can give you exactly what you want. Theodore, would you mind telling us a little bit about linking words?
Of course. Okay, so linking words are words you use to link together phrases and paragraphs. Many of these are made so it's smoother and a lot softer to read what it says and to listen to. And for example, some sequence words like first, thirdly, next, last, finally, and so on are perfect when you're starting a new paragraph, for example. There are also other kinds of linking words, as we have stated over here, but there are also some words you're never supposed to use. Some of they are dudes, bitches and hoes, and bro life. These are considered informal and considered as slang, and it never ex- really shows you that you're a formal person or know how to write a formal letter or anything other formal for that matters. And also, you're not supposed to use shortcuts like can't and e.g. Instead, use the full word like I cannot instead of can't. It makes it a bit better impression of yourself. And now we are come to the part where I'm going to tell you about how to write a letter. So the first things you have to know when writing a letter is that you're supposed to start with the greetings like dear sir or madam if you do not know how you're addressing it to, or you may also use to whom it may concern. But if you do know the person, it's okay to use dear and then the full name of the person. And the second thing in the letter is that you should state why you are writing this letter. If, for example, if you're writing a letter of complaint to complain about the vacuum cleaner, or if you're applying for a job, then you state that in the second paragraph, so to say. And when you're after that, you should always think of you should always when you pick up a new topic, doing have a new paragraph. It makes it smoother to read. And you should close the letter with a set phrase with a bit of attitude, such as, I hope to hear from you soon, or something similar, to make the impression that you want to inform this to the one who's reading it. And you should always finish your letter with yours faithfully if you do not know the person. However, if you know the person, you use yours sincerely instead to get a nice touch on the end. And there are a few examples. A bad example here is the first one, where he starts with, hello, Mr. Anderson, for example. My name is Arnold, and the text goes on for a little bit. And then when he comes to, on my spare time, I paint a lot. He should have used a new phrase because he's changing the subject to something he's doing on his spare time instead of his profession. But he finishes with quite a nice touch on thank you for your time, at least. But he doesn't finish it completely with yours faithfully or yours sincerely. Compared to the other one, who uses dear sir or madam, which is just fine, he states why he's writing this letter. In this case, he's applying for the job as a journalist. And he also, when he starts talking about his spare time, for example, he uses it in a new phrase. Paragraph, excuse me. And he also closes out that letter with, I'm looking forward to be seeing you. Quite a good one. And he finishes with yours faithfully, Arnold, which is a little bit of a nice touch. But Sophia, would you mind telling us about how we're supposed to write a formal article?
Of course, Theodore. Well, there is a certain structure when you're writing an article. You begin with a headline, then it comes a summary, an introduction, body, and it ends with a conclusion. The headline is supposed to be interesting and eye-catching, but it should absolutely not twist the idea of what the article is about. The summary contains the main concepts of the article. Be aware of that the reader should be able to only read the summary, and through that have a complete view of the entire article. The summary should therefore contain the meaning of the article and how it ends. However, do not make it too long. Approximately 1/10 of the article's length is the maximum length of the summary. After a summary comes the introduction. The introduction presents the necessary background facts for the articles. However, the introduction needs to be interesting and involving. It should engage the reader to read the rest of the article. When the introduction is done, it is time for the body of the article. It is fairly easy to write a boring, flat article, but that is not how we want you to write an article. You can use questions to make the reader feel more involved. An involved reader reads more thoroughly and will appreciate the article more. Also, whenever you can, try to appeal to a reader's imagination. For example, you can use fun examples that spice up the content of the article. Always aim to be as interesting as possible when you're writing an article. When it comes to the paragraphs, be sure to begin a new one whenever you change topic, as in the letters. When you have your body of the article, it is time to write the last paragraph, conclusion. The conclusion is supposed to open up the reader's mind to new possibilities. You should give a new view of the article's main ideas. It is very profitable if you give a short summary of the entire article in the conclusion, just to refresh the reader's memory. The last sentence of an article should be memorable. And be sure to adjust your language so it is appropriate for your primary readers. If you're writing an article for a science essay, for a science magazine, you should be very, very formal. And if you write an article to perhaps teenagers in a fashion magazine, you can be a little more informal. So that is how you write an article.
Yes, okay. And now we have come to the summary for this lecture. And summarize the most important part. We have done these tables. Formal language is important to use when you want to get your point out and tell the world what you want. And it's also you also will be taken a lot more seriously when you're using formal language. And in a letter, it's very important with the beginning and the end, with a dear sir or madam, and the finish word yours faithfully or yours sincerely. And in an article, it's important to stay interesting so the reader won't fall asleep or just leave the newspaper or the magazine on the table. And that was the end of our lecture. Good luck with your formal writing, and remember, always aim for the seal of approval.